So the Cleveland Browns just took on the Baltimore Ravens in the dog pound. As usual, unfortunately, they blew a lead in the second half. We did finally get to see Shedeur Sanders make his first appearance as a Cleveland Brown in the actual regular season. It didn't happen as expected, but when he did first take those first few steps on the field, man, was it electric in there. That was probably the most exciting 10 seconds I've ever been in the stadium for, so it was a fun game. It sucks that they lost, but yeah, I mean, there is a lot to take away from Shedeur's debut. Since I was there at the game in person, I got to take lots of video. Shedeur was very unprepared. He literally said in his press conference that he had never thrown a ball to jeudy before. That is insane malpractice by the coaching staff. But nonetheless, this was a game with a lot of takeaways. There's a lot of good and bad to take away. I already made a video specifically about Shedeur, breaking down some of the plays, and in this video, I want to focus more on the news and like the team in general and what we actually learned from this game. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 60,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Okay, so starting off, obviously Shedeur Sanders was the story of this game, even with the loss. Dillon Gabriel exited the game to go in the concussion protocol at halftime after taking a pretty sizable hit. The offense did nothing with him on the field in that first half. They had a total of 3 points, just 1 field goal. The defense did the rest, and by halftime, people were already chanting for Shedeur. None of us knew at the time that Dillon was hurt. We just thought that Stefanski pulled the plug. But anyways, for Shedeur, it was an interesting debut to say the least. Very bumpy as expected, since he had 0 reps with the ones the entire season. But there were times, especially on that last drive, where he did give us a little bit to work with. He definitely dances around in the pocket way too much. He's kind of continued on that bad habit that he had in Colorado. But we all know the Browns' offensive line is horrendous this year. Might be the worst unit in the league statistically. The Ravens were blitzing the house because of that. And since Shedeur is not comfortable yet, and this was his first game, he really didn't know what to do. I'll admit that I was too hard on Dillon this season because there really is nothing to work with on this offense. And I'm going to try to avoid criticizing Sanders because, I mean, what are you supposed to do in the situation he was in? I did not expect to see him play in this game. I don't think he did either. There was no plan for the chance that he would have to get thrown into a game. Things went exactly how you would expect, and it falls on the shoulders of Stefanski. To get away from the quarterback storyline a bit, Quinshon Judkins and Cedric Tillman were really the only positives of this offense in terms of production. Judkins had 59 yards, but he only averaged 3.5 yards per carry. But again, the Ravens could predict every single run. The offense was literally a 3-yard out route or a run up the middle. It was the same thing every time. And the O-line does not create any holes. So I'll give Quinshon Judkins a B+ for his effort in this game, and then Tillman caught Shedeur's longest pass of the day across the middle of the field. It was actually a pretty impressive play, but unfortunately the drive stalled out and the Browns lost the game by 7. In terms of the bad news, as I titled this video, obviously the Browns did blow a 6-point second half lead. I guess it's kind of a good thing in terms of draft position, but I really wanted to win this game. And then Mary Kay completely exposed Kevin Stefanski in his post-game interview. Basically, she called out how there was a good chance Shedeur would get put in this type of situation at some point throughout the season, and she called out how strange it was that Shedeur was not getting any reps the entire season with the ones. No other backup in the league has ever been in that situation. Nobody gets treated like that. I'm not saying you give him a ton of reps because Dillon Gabriel is a rookie and he needs as much as he can get if he is the starter, but even just like one sequence, like how do you have 0? It's just so nuts. And Shedeur in his press conference said he had not even thrown a ball to jeudy in 8 months. So everything is adding up to the fact that Shedeur was never given a real chance. At the NFL level, you're not going to come in behind this offensive line with no reps and succeed. There is a long way to go, but if Shedeur does get the start in Vegas, I think we are going to see some strides forward after a week of practicing with the offense. But he will at least know a little bit about this offense, the timing, and the style. You could just see in that Ravens game how he was guessing which ways the receivers were going to go. I'm not going to give an excuse for that pick 6, but that could have been one of the reasons why, because that play just looked strange. He just threw it right to the Ravens defense. And the one positive thing he showed, even despite going 4 for 16, was a willingness to throw the ball down the field. Dillon Gabriel has not done it the entire season, and it has made this offense boring and borderline unwatchable. I personally am going to be so pissed if Dylan clears the concussion protocol and Kevin names him the starter again. I think this would be a great time to make the flip. Shedeur at least has some potential to throw the ball down the field, as I just mentioned. He just needs time to learn the offense and also time to throw, because he barely had 2 seconds last night. The left side of the line is completely washed, even though I love Batonio. Even Wyatt Teller has struggled at times this season. I really don't think any QB could play well within the current state of this offense, so it's really hard to judge Shedeur's performance. It's hard to judge Dylan. Obviously, we saw that even Flacco couldn't find consistency. This is just a very bad team that somehow pulled off a miraculous win against Green Bay in week 2. Now for some of the good news that came out of this game, because there was a little bit of good. The Browns defense continued to carry the load. They continued to play at a Super Bowl caliber level. It really does suck that we are seeing this defense wasted by this offense, because if you would have given Baker this defense, who knows what could have happened. It really is time to start having those Myles Garrett conversations. Talks about him being one of the greatest defensive linemen to ever do it. I'm not going to be the one to feel bad for him for being stuck in Cleveland, because he chose to follow dollars over rings. So when he's throwing his helmet over losing, I don't believe it one bit. But still, he is playing at an elite Hall of Fame level right now. He's had almost 10 sacks in 2 games. Myles Garrett is that guy. And by the time this season is all said and done, we're going to be looking at some historic numbers. We actually already are, and we're just over halfway through. Another player on the defense who really has become a cornerstone is Carson Schlesinger. He had an interception in this game. I know early on he chased down and tackled Lamar Jackson behind the line of scrimmage. I was really impressed with how the Browns contained Lamar in this game, because we know in the past he has torched us, especially on the ground. Obviously Bush had the pick 6. The defense scored more points than the offense, which is just sad. But some of the good news out of this game was how well the defense played. Myles Garrett finished the game with 4 sacks. Carson Schlesinger had 8 solo tackles. Devin Bush had 2 tackles and a pick 6. Grant Delpit recovered the muff punt. Denzel Ward was super solid in this game. Defensively, the Browns as a unit played well enough to win this game, but the offense scoring 3 is just unacceptable. I was watching the Bills-Buccaneers game before this one, where they were just scoring touchdowns left and right. It's just a completely different sport. Anyways, moving on, now let's talk week 12 and the upcoming game against the Raiders. This is going to be a tank off. The loser will be in a great position to get the number 2 or 3 pick in the draft. It's going to be an ugly one. It's honestly surprising to me just how bad the Raiders have been this year, because I expected them to be at least around 500, but nothing has been working. The Browns defense will need to shut down Ashton Jeanty, and the offense will need to score touchdowns. That's really the breakdown at the end of the day. You're not going to win a football game with no offensive touchdowns in the NFL, and this is going to potentially be Shedeur's big opportunity. You don't get many of them in this league. I don't want to call yesterday a real opportunity because he had 0 preparation, but he needs to go out there next week and leave no doubt. He needs to make it impossible for Kevin to go back to Dylan. That's really all I got for this video though. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about the game against the Ravens. Do you think Shedeur showed potential? Do you think that we should kick the can on Dylan? What are your thoughts on the defense and Myles Garrett's performance? I'm very curious. All your comments truly mean the world, because it helps push this video to more people. Also, please let me know what you would like to see next. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, I will see you all later.